Good morning, and this is Morning Reel, a 3 to 4 to 100 minute or so podcast of films that I review of all genres from all nationalities, whether it be in color, black and white, Technicolor, Cinescope, you name it. I review it. Today, this morning, I review Billy Wilder's Some Like It Hot. Yes, Some Like It Hot. I haven't seen this film in its entirety from beginning to end since film school. Actually, no, that's a lie. I think I've seen it maybe once or twice after film school, and that's it. And then maybe like this past couple of days, I saw it again, and man, what a timeless film. What an important film, really. Like it's one of those films that features comedy, crime, hard it is to write something that's actually hilarious. Every line is hit after hit after hit. Every line is funny. Every line is quirky. Every line has a point. And that's what I love about the film. It has a point. It pushes the story. Even between the dialogue of the characters, it helps push the story. Anyways, I'm getting way too ahead of myself. This is a film where I can talk about all day because there's so much like history in this film, period, because I this is a film where I can't just review it for 3 minutes or 4 minutes. I could. Billy Wilder, who directed it, produced it, but he also co-wrote the film with I.A.L. Diamond. These two buddies are a force to be reckoned with, and it shows in the film. They wrote great characters. They wrote a film where you got like two or three plots going on, like four plots going on at the same time, almost at the same time, really. And I love how balanced it is too, because I mean, there's a lot of films out there that have like sub stories beyond sub stories beyond sub stories, and sometimes it just doesn't work because sometimes you can't just pack all that stuff in into like 1.5 to 2 hours. You just can't. But this is, cinema of the past, Hollywood cinema of the past. Anyways, this film came out in 1959. It's a crime comedy. It stars Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, George Raft, Pat O'Brien, Joe E. Brown, Joan Shawley, and Nehemiah Persoff. Story by Robert Thoren and Michael Logan. It's actually based on Fanfare of Love by Max Bronnett, Michael Logan, Pierre Pervert, Rene Pujon, Robert Thoren. Cinematography by Charles Lang. Edited by Arthur P. Schmidt. Music by Adolf Deutsch. Production company, Mirish Company. Distributed by United Artists. This film came out on March 29th, 1959. And it was a box office hit. It had a budget of $2.9 million and grossed $49 million. That is amazing. I mean, think about it. In 1959, how much $49 million is, and inflate that bitch up to today. Anyways, this is one of the few like comedies, especially back in the times, where not only was it a commercial success, but it was also a critical success, which led to, you know, 6 Academy Award nominations. That includes Best Actor, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay. And out of all that, it won Best Costume Design. And it shows. Well, just to keep it simple and sweet, this film's about two jazz musicians on the run by this gang. Well, not a gang, but a mafia from Chicago, because they just so happen to see a murder being, a murder. They saw a murder and they're like, hell no, we got to catch these two guys. No witnesses. And they're serious about that. So these two guys, Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, Tony who plays Joe, Jack who plays Jerry. One's a sax player and one's a double bass player. Marilyn Monroe, she may not have been giving the best as far as like dialogue, but she has a screen presence, man. Just She don't have to say lines sometimes, and we are just so like enamored by this woman, just by her like just some. It's just this grace that she has, you know. I mean, it's not innocent. She she wants to play the innocent, and she knows she's not innocent. And she does a good job trying to be innocent. Whether she tries so hard for it to work out or not, it works. You know, there are a couple of scenes, there are a couple of shots where you're just like, gosh darn, man, like she don't gotta speak. She don't gotta speak. She can just look at the horizon or look at the character a certain way, and it's all right. And it's just like not all right, like it's all right. No, like it's just like you just feel you just feel safe in some weird way, man, and you just want to root for her. That's the thing. Like you want to root for this character, you know, that she plays. You know, character who she's an alcoholic singer slash ukulele player, and I like how she expresses that, especially with Tony Curtis's character. And man, Tony Curtis, dude, and Jack Lemmon, those two. I mean, obviously they're goats. They're goats. They're not around, but these guys are goats. These guys know how to play characters within characters. Like, think about it. These guys are playing two characters, you know, almost at the same time. They're playing two characters in one movie, two different roles, but they're like they coincide each other. It's kind of weird, you know, and individually, of course. Like, and Tony Curtis even pushing the envelope by not only playing Joe, a sax player, but he's also playing a woman named Josephine. And not only that, he's trying to get Marilyn Monroe's character as this guy who's a shell oil, you know, like bureaucrat of sorts, you know, and he freaking nails it, man. Like when you look at that character, like, you know, with the with the whole sailor get up and with that accent, I mean, it's not really foolproof, but like it's foolproof enough, you know, especially back in that time, you know. This is a film where like it's it's camp, but it's good camp. When you look at Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon as women, when you look at them, even in black and white, you can tell that they're not women. Straight up tell. Anybody can tell. Even fucking Stevie Wonder can see that. You know, he can tell. You know, these guys they're not fooling nobody. Even the voices. You can hear it. You know, I mean, they do a pretty good job at attempting to sound very feminine and very and all that crap. And you can tell it's horrible, but that's not the point. The point is that, you know, it's camp. You know, they're just, you know, fulfilling a certain role and we just have to believe it. But we believe it because, or at least I believe it simply because of the way it's written. It's supposed to be goofy. You're supposed to notice that. Now there's a film with a pretty good script because like I said, these guys are running from from the mafia and all that stuff. And all that action from the first act that stops in the first act, it later comes in like probably like in the second half of the second act. And I just love the way they bring those characters to Florida. I love it, you know. And I love it how it was written, you know, like there's a convention in town by the Friends of Italy and all that stuff, and it turns out it's one big old freaking Italian mob convention. It's great. And who happens to be there? Spats. Same guy who is trying to look for Joe and Jerry, you know, and I mean, eventually shit hits the fan and it's great. Third act is great, you know, and this film is so good at basically like this film is so good at establishing the first act and transitioning to the second and then transitioning to the third. And a film is great when there's a high point or a low point in the film, you know? And somehow, I don't know how they did it, but obviously they ended in a big note and they ended in a very hilarious note. I wish I can spoil this movie for you people, you know, for you folks, for you guys and gals and all in between and out there. I wish I can say certain lines, and oh my god, the lines. Some of these one-liners are great, especially Spats, man. Like George Raft playing Spats, dude. I love that guy, man. He's a bad guy who you can like, kind of like, you know, kind of like the Super Brother Mario's, movie with Jack Black playing Bowser. That's a freaking that's a villain that you can get behind. You're supposed to hate his guts, but he puts a human element to it. George Raft playing Spats is so human, so like cold and heartless and crap, man. I mean, I don't know how it was back then in Chicago. All these mafia leaders. I don't know how cold they were, but man, this guy brings it. He's very convincing. I love it. I love it. I don't know what else to say about this film. All I can say is the perfect comedy film because it's so well balanced. It's funny. It's funny, dude. Look at me. I'm a 33-year-old person in 2023 laughing my ass off at a movie that came out in 1959 and it still holds up. It still holds up. And this is a film that I will watch time and time again. And not just to watch, to laugh my ass off, but to learn. And I learned a lot watching this film as far as like a filmmaker's point of view, a writing point of view, um, acting. I mean, I don't act or anything like that, but you 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 see all these elements play and they play so well. It's like one big nice melting pot and all you want to do is just stuff your face in it. And this film also is I love that this film is not spoon like it doesn't spoon feed you. Like you don't know what to expect. Like I mean, cuz people when you watch the film, you kind of wonder yourself like, man, like what's going to happen to these guys? Is Joe going to get the girl? Is he going to get Marilyn? Is he going to get Sugar? Is he? Is is he going to get away with it? Is Jerry going to get away with playing Daphne against this like freaking old geezer rich dude who like is obsessed with her, well, with him, or her, you know what I mean, dude. Like obsessed with them and it's funny and the way they interact with each other. All these I just love the all the I just love all the fuck, man. I love how these characters interact with each other and you can just tell that all these people are great actors and great casting too because almost every character has great lines, man. They have great lines. Like I said, like I love how the writing, I love how these characters and dialogue just push the story without even having to like be aware of it, and that's so fucking great, man. Like it's so fucking great that a film can do that. And it's shit like that just makes me love film, dude. Like fuck, man. Like do yourself a favor, everybody. If you have HBO Max, or on May 23rd, it's going to become Max. So you're going to have to, re download the app or whatnot. Do yourself a favor. Spend the evening, make a couple of cocktails, roll a couple of joints. Oh, yeah, and this film's heavy on alcohol. I mean, there's a scene in particular, in the beginning of the second act where Jerry and Joe, they're already on the train. They're already in the band. They're already women. And they're trying to go to sleep. And obviously they see all these women like they're already dressed up for bed and in their little bunk beds and all that stuff. And there's a lot of women. It's a full band. We're talking like I don't know, like more than 10, I don't know, maybe like more than 10 women. And these two, come on, dude. Imagine yourself there's two men training to be women and you are surrounded by 10 beautiful musicians. And not only are they beautiful, but they're fucking hilarious too. And they're dirty, like telling dirty jokes and shit. They love to have a good time. It's just, they give off that vibe, and it's a great vibe. Jerry, in particular, who's like, just wants to like be surrounded by these women constantly. And like, obviously, like, I mean, he can, but like, there's not much that he can do because if he does, they're gonna get kicked out of the train in the middle of nowhere and it's cold as hell, like, and it's hilarious seeing that scene where he's just like dying inside. And then there's a scene in particular too, well, in the same scene where Sugar comes up to Jerry's bunk and she's like, oh my god, you're all alone, you know let me like hang out with you, let me give you some comfort. And he's like, oh my god, dude, like fuck, man, if I weren't a chick right now, I would just take you, man. But obviously that can't happen, you know? And the next thing you know, you start drinking, you start inviting other girls, and they're all up there in that one bunk and they're all drinking and telling jokes and he's having a good time and it's oh man, it's just crazy. And one thing I want to add too is just I like the way how these characters are introduced. You know, you get to know who these characters are within a minute. Each character within a minute, you just know who the fuck they are. You know what they're about. You don't need a whole scene to figure out who they are. Nah, it's done within a minute of screen time, and that's fucking impressive, man. And man, look, I'm babbling, but it's just they're just so like I said, there's so much to this film. There's just so much. I mean, it's considered one of the greatest films of all time. One of the greatest films of all time. I mean, I can't give this film a rating because it's not automatically a great film, but obviously, if I had to give it a rating, easily a 4 out of 4 tokes. Anyways, do yourself a favor, roll a couple of J's, make some cocktails, man. Make some Manhattans, make some screwdrivers, mojitos, whatever you need to do, mudslides, whatever you need to do. Sit back and watch this film. Seriously, I guarantee you will laugh your ass off. I guarantee you will laugh your ass off. And not only will you laugh your ass off, but like, there's heart in this film. There's a soul in this film, and that's what I love about it. And fuck, man, coming back to Marilyn one more time, man. Like, not the greatest actor of all time, but she has this presence. She has this soul, and it's a shame that Hollywood kind of sort of took that away from her, or sort of like kind of put all that pressure on her for her to eventually fuck it up, right? Because in the end, man, like she fucked it up for herself, but like man, it sometimes it's hard being a chick, dude, and that's kind of the point of this film too. Like it's hard being a chick. It's hard trying to make it. It's hard trying to get away from the bullshit. There's always somebody out there who feels the same way. My name is Ray Salazar. Follow me at Morning Shot Films on IG and YouTube. Follow this podcast named Morning Real. This is not the only episode I've done. I've done so much more episodes, and I will continue to do more. I've been debating about what to do next as far as next week, and crazy because I went on a rabbit hole about this film, and I stumbled onto this list from Sight and Sound. Every 10 years, they do this critics poll and directors poll as to the greatest films of all time, right? And a lot of the times it would be Vertigo, Citizen Kane, obviously. But they did one last year, 2022, because the year before that, they did a 2012 list. Now, for this last year, they put this film called Gendarme 23 Quai du Commerce 1080 Brussels. That's a film that came out in 1975, directed by Chantal Ackerman, and they consider that movie the greatest film of all time. And when I saw that it made number one on the list, I was like, what? No fucking way. Like, it's about fucking time they put something different, right? So that's gonna be the next film. I wanna see the greatest film of all time. I wanna see why this is the greatest film of all time. In their eyes, because it's from a UK and all that stuff. UK and America, obviously, they got different views as to what the greatest film of all time is. A lot of people say it's Vertigo. A lot of people say it's Citizen Kane. I love Vertigo. I love Citizen Kane. But this one, Jean Delman, it's on HBO Max. It's on the Criterion Collection. Much like Some Like It Hot, but I'm just excited to see this film for the first time and to see if this is the one, because I've always wanted to know what the greatest movie of all time is. Like, of all time, like of all fucking time since the beginning of cinema to now. A lot of people say it's fucking Freddy Got Fingered, Psych. Nah, hell nah. It's this movie right here, man. And to me, this is exciting. To me, it's like going to a sesh, a secret sesh, to a festival, a music festival, all in one, man. That's what it is to me. So can't wait to see it. Can't wait to give it to you on Thursday. And on to the next.